Hello, this is the Arturia Spark. Spark is a creative drum machine. It's a hybrid system, meaning it's a marriage of a dedicated piece of hardware that controls software running here on the computer. So with this, it's bi-directional. So if I make changes on the hardware, it's reflected on the software and vice versa. It's a lot of fun to work with. It's a machine designed so that you can come up with ideas for loops, drums. It will work in conjunction with a DAW. And the real killer thing about it is it's a drum synth, first and foremost. Arturia are known for synths, and this is one of the key things. You have a few different types of synthesis. You have traditional subtractive drum synthesis built into this, and you can edit them with the controls. There's also physical modeling, which creates very realistic sounding hi-hats and more drum sounds basically, but more realistic in that sense. And also it's got sample-based kits too. So you've got the ability to load your own samples into Spark and creatively mess around with them. But yeah, they're included too. So there's things like classic drum machines like the DMX and the Drumulator. In fact, there's 808s and 909 samples included. As of version 1.4, Spark will give you their full vintage drum machine system, which is over 30 classic drum machines recreated in Spark software. We can see some of them running down here. So let's check it out in a little bit more detail. Okay, so to give you a little bit of an overview, let's load up another kit. We can do that with the controller here. So I'll change it to, let's have the 80s Studio Drum Kit. This loads it up. There we go. Basically, as you can see, there are 8 velocity sensitive pads. Each have 3 dials, which are endless encoders, and we can change the settings of the actual instrument, the sound that's loaded there. Interestingly, if I hold select, I can then choose what parameter this knob is controlling. So without needing to go to the computer, I can edit the sounds and I can choose what these knobs do. At the top, you've got an 808 style sequencer here. So there's actually 2 styles. There's the sort of traditional MPC-esque style thing with velocity sensitive pads, but if you like using 808 style step sequencer, that's there too, and you can use both together, so however you like. There's this cool loop divider thing here which lets us create sort of on the fly loops and shift them around, so you can use that if you've got a simple pattern. You can mess around with it, you can jump around that pattern and sort of do these kind of drill effects and then roll back out. Tap tempo dedicated dial there. Shuffle as well, master volume, it's pretty obvious what that is. You've got your screen here and then this cool effects thing. There's different types of effects that we can enable. At the moment we've got a low pass filter which we can use on various sounds. You can select a sound, mess with it there. Slicer is a, like kind of similar to this. It's a drilling kind of, fast sort of stutter effect. And then roller lets you hold down a function and get these kind of rolls, these fast sort of fills. That's quite a lot of fun. There's actually, at the moment, although there are 8 pads, you can control up to 16 sounds. We do that by adjusting this dial here, this little button. So it's pads 1 to 8 and then 9 to 16. So there's a whole set of sounds here and then different set there. In the middle, as you can see, we've got the cutoff, resonance, aux 1 and 2, which are at the moment sends to reverb and delay. There is in fact a load of effects built into Spark. So if we look on the software down in the mixer, there's full mix controls, and actually we're controlling a lot of that from the hardware, but it's here if we want to change the different types of effects that we've got going on. There's loads of different things, loads of really fun, interesting stuff, so you can kind of really mangle drums and get them sounding wicked just in Spark. You don't need to involve other effects. We're actually running it in standalone mode here, so Spark's just running, floating in Windows. It'll also work on a Mac. But the key thing is that Spark obviously will work in a DAW. So if you've got, be it any DAW, any modern sort of sequencing software, Spark will float within it and will let you sync to the session. There's some really cool things that we can do here, so I'll show you those later. But anyway, let's have a listen to some drums, show you how it works. So here's the Studio Drums preset. There's a load of different patterns here. There's banks and patterns. We're in bank A, pattern 1. If I go to pattern 2, that then changes the pattern. And you can just go through those in real time. There's obviously loads and loads of patterns that come with the various kits in Spark, but there's nothing to stop us sort of making our own. So what we can do is we can erase a pattern by hitting erase and then pattern 1, erasing pattern A1. So now when we hit play, there's nothing there. So what we'll have to do is we're going to have to actually make a drum loop. So we just hit play, and then you select the drum sound that you want to add. And at the moment, we can select bass drum, snare drum, closed hi-hat, what have you. And then if we just go up here, that drops in the bass drum. So this is 808 style. But if we want, obviously, we can hit record. And that's getting recorded alongside in a different style. So you've got this kind of hybrid. It's 808 style or MPC style, and you can do either or you can do both. At the moment, it's slightly quantizing these. We can change the quantize settings up here if we want. So we can have it so that, yeah, we're not quantizing if we don't want that, or we are quantizing even more. This is just, you know, so that when you're playing back, everything just plays back in time. Maybe speed it up. And then you hear it quantize my slightly dodgy snare drum there. And so very quickly you can just start coming up with ideas. Messing with this, quite fun. And you notice it's recorded what I did with that knob. Held this on, held on record. And when you adjust the knob, automation gets recorded along with it. You can start to do some really interesting things by having things rolling. Fun. Okay, so we've got a kit we like. Very cool. If we play a pattern, let's have a little play with the filter slicing stuff. You can see on the software here, the little thing updates to show how we're editing it. Slice is a lot of fun. And then roller lets us hold this down. Very cool. And one final really awesome thing, if you see here we're using this inside a DAW, if you've got a loop that you like, and I like this very much, people have asked, you know, how do you basically get your loops into the DAW so you can mess with them? Well, what you do is, we're currently on pattern A2, and if I go down here and click on pattern A2 here and drag it out, Spark actually exports this pattern and we can see it here. So yeah, it's possible to both export MIDI and audio from Spark into your DAW or just onto the desktop. If you're running it in standalone mode, you can just literally export the files out, put a folder together. So, you know, if you've got like a feeling uninspired, you've got like a Sunday afternoon, you can just come up with a load of loops, export them all into folders, they'll sit on your desktop, and then you can just load them up into a DAW and chop them up. So, you know, it's happy to operate standalone, or it's happy to work, you know, with a DAW integrated. So yeah, check it out. So this is the Spark, hands-on creative drum machine system.